Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. No mai, haere mai, and greetings all. My name is Cheryl Adamson, and I'm the General Manager of the Parnell Business Association. So welcome today to another episode of Eco Bites, short and sharp topical conversations in the eco space, 8 to 10 questions, one presenter, released monthly. We all know that when we talk about the sustainability journey, the hardest part of all is getting started, especially for small to medium-sized businesses, as the demand on both staff and financial resources is unaffordable. So I think today's episode of EcoBytes will really appeal to many businesses in our area. Our speaker today is from Greenhawk, who have an office in Parnell in the textile centre. But our speaker today is sitting in a snowy Wanaka. Greenhawk are an accounting and financial services business, are B Corp certified, and are going to chat to us today about carbon accounting. So I'd now like to hand over to Josephine Rudkin-Binks, who's a board member of the Parnell Business Association and our sustainability champion, to formally introduce and interview Kelly Brown from Greenhawk, our guest speaker for today. Over to you, Joey.
Oh, kia ora. Thank you, Cheryl. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Josephine Tokawingwa, and welcome to today's Eco Bite. First, I'll give you an insight into Kelly's bio, and then we'll have a chat. So, as Cheryl says, Kelly Brown, she's the co-owner of Greenhawk Chartered Accountants, an accounting, tax and performance partner for ambitious businesses. Based in Parnell, Wanaka and Queenstown, Greenhawk is all about helping business owners succeed, whatever success means to them. Originally a marketeer by trade, Kelly has broadened her skill set several years ago by retraining in carbon accounting. Her focus now is twofold: telling Greenhawk's clients' stories and, importantly, helping Kiwi businesses measure and reduce their emissions. Based in beautiful Wanaka, Kelly loves good outdoor adventures, spending time running mountain trails with friends and chasing her kids down the slopes. So I think with Parnell and Wanaka, you've got the best of both worlds there, Kelly. So welcome. Tell us a little bit more about Greenhawk, and then for those that don't know about Greenhawk and your focus areas that you talked about.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me. So yes, as we mentioned, Greenhawk, we're a chartered accountancy firm, originally started in Parnell around almost 10 years ago now. And now we have offices down in the South Island too. So I'm based in Wanaka, and we have a wee satellite office in Queenstown too. So again, being chartered accountants, we're all about helping owners, truly understand their business financials so they can make those strong, informed decisions to get them where they want to go. So we love, partnering with businesses on that front. In terms of me and my role in the business, yes, wear a number of hats being a business owner, but predominantly I look after our marketing, our internal sustainability, and most dear to my heart is helping our clients start their carbon reduction journeys.
Yeah,
so
cool.
Training in carbon accounting was one of the most interesting things I've done in the last few years, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's great. And so the carbon accounting services are fairly newer services to Greenhawk. So tell us how that came about.
Yeah, sure. So we did our first measurement of our own business, so back in 2020, and just a really educational, eye-opening process. And naturally, being the numbers people in the room, it felt very much our place to be able to support businesses, not just with their financial reporting, but also, with their non-financial. So in the first instance, looking at their greenhouse gas emissions. So as mentioned, I retrained under the lovely team at Tuitu. That was just fabulous way to really wholly understand the depth of carbon accounting, but then through, I guess, my business lens and my marketing lens, try and translate that into a really easy first step in the journey. It wasn't necessarily that we were doing at that stage, full in-depth footprints for people, but it was about just having a workshop, even having an hour conversation with any of our clients that were interested, to say, hey, look, this is what it's about. Even 4 years ago, it was still quite a new thing for businesses. And look, it's not about being perfect. It's just about, hey, let's do better today than we were doing yesterday. So baby steps. And as we've worked through, some businesses now doing their, second footprint with us, then, they're getting into a bit more nitty gritty. So it's cool, just starting, meeting people where they're at and helping them move forward.
Yeah, great. And kind of what benefits did Greenhawk see when you went through that process yourself? And what are some of the benefits that you're now being able to see through your clients?
Yeah, so for us as a business, one side of things that I guess I didn't immediately think would be such a big thing was just our team engagement around this. So being an office-based services business, we don't have a huge footprint, and a significant part of that, I think back in 2020, 3/4 of our footprint was our staff commuting. So basically we now bribe our team to, active transport. So down in Wanaka, that's pretty easy. It's not far for people to travel. However, we don't have a public transport system. So different areas, in Parnell and in Auckland, we have like one of our team members now, we've managed to go through I think it's called the work ride system. So we're able to fund her to get an e-bike, and now so she's commuting by e-bike once or twice a week. So just that team engagement has been like a really cool bonus of it. Naturally, as we're year to year, we've been reducing our footprint bit by bit from an intensity perspective, but we are a growing business, so our emissions overall, are increasing, but we are now, I guess, 60% bigger than we were in terms of the number of staff we have. So that's been an interesting challenge to measure, from a purist perspective. I want to see our emissions as a whole reduce. But, being a growing business, we're not the business we were for even 4 years ago. So now I'm kind of finding my comfortable place with looking at our emissions intensity on a per capita basis. But yeah, in terms of what our clients have seen, kind of been twofold. It's either been, cost cutting or winning new clients. So I guess on the cost cutting side of things, emissions tend to follow dollars. So, naturally reducing your emissions, whether that's, limiting your corporate air travel, for example, is going to have a real benefit to your bottom line. So that's been one bonus that our, clients have been through the process of seeing. And the other side has been around, winning new clients, winning contracts. So as an example, we have a local fencing business here who obviously they do a great job as well, and that was no small part of why they won the job, but they won a local government contract because they knew their footprint and they were proving that they were making reductions against it. So yeah, some significant benefits there for our clients.
Yeah, great. And definitely, if you cut carbon, you cut cost. They absolutely correlate. So often if people aren't driven from the environmental perspective about reducing carbon, cost is usually a very good driver, so but hopefully for many it's both. And the other thing you said about it being a point of difference, whilst there are still more businesses now measuring and reducing carbon and publicly declaring their carbon footprints, it still is a point of difference for businesses. And often these businesses are involved in supply chains, and this is becoming an important part in tenders and RFPs. So it's great you're really kind of future-proofing these businesses. So Cheryl mentioned that you're a B Corp, love B Corp certification. It's awesome, but tell us a bit about how that journey started.
Yeah, so for us, B Corp is, I guess, a framework that we can use to help us see how we're tracking against our business purpose. So our business, I guess, at its core, we're about helping businesses thrive, but we also want to ensure we're lifting up our local communities and caring for the living planet. So the good thing about B Corp is that it's kind of like this smorgasbord of awesomeness that you can do in the world of business. And And, obviously we're tracking, against, or we've gotten certain points for what we are doing, but it's also opened our eyes as to what we could do, because it's a journey, it's constant improvement. It's not like, hey, we're a B Corp, tick, and we're done. It's like, right, how can we just do it, a little bit better again. So we've really loved that side of it, the inspiration. Also, we've loved, we've only been at B Corp since January, so it's new to us, but just being kind of part of a gang of pretty cool businesses that we like hanging out with and getting inspiration from. Even though it's only been a couple of months, we have actually had a couple of prospects come to us and mention B Corp, like, oh, well, I saw your website and I saw you're a B Corp. That kind of values alignment, I think has been a thing that's already popped up. So that's cool. Cool that it's an external audit of our ethics, I guess. It's not just us sort of saying, hey, we're doing X and Y. Because obviously greenwashing and purpose washing is a real thing. So it gives us at least some measure of external verification of what we're doing.
Yeah, that's great. I helped an organisation go through the B Corp process, and I'm very aware that it's an immense amount of work, but it's also a fantastic tool, as you say, for ongoing business improvement opportunities. So and joining that collective, we've just had B Corp month. March is B Corp month, so there's been some great stories about what some of the B Corps are doing. So yeah, you're very much in that great family. So that's awesome. In terms of sustainability, then, sort of thinking back to sustainability, what kind of keeps you awake at night? What concerns you that's not happening or going too slow?
Well, I think a few years back, these things were literally keeping me up at night, but I have since, tried to make peace with, we can only do so much. But yeah, what's keeping me up, figuratively speaking now, is the climate. It's emissions not going down. We had these targets of 2030 to have effectively halved our emissions, and we're not moving fast enough. I think businesses have a real opportunity to be, leading the way here, especially, in New Zealand. So I'm really just so passionate about putting on my optimistic hat and thinking, look, if we all rally, we really can make a difference. So
yeah.
Positive.
Awesome. And you're right, businesses have an opportunity to lead, but so why do you think many of them aren't acting? What do you think's holding them back?
I wonder if on one level it's that feeling of insignificance, for want of a better word, like, well, what would it really matter if I did X and Y? But I think, I just think we need everyone. We need everyone to get on board. And perhaps the other side of it is just not knowing where to start. That can be overwhelming. So I think I would just, in terms of our experience, we just chose one thing to start with, and that was measuring our footprint. But if that's for you, if waste is a big thing in your organization, perhaps you might just we'll do a waste audit and we'll look to set a target, say 5%. Like, let's work for the next 6 months to reduce our waste by 5%. That's a solid thing that you're doing. So I would just say pick one thing and do that.
Awesome. And in terms of sort of businesses, obviously you're working with many of them, but do you think there's somebody that's really addressing this really well and doing an awesome job that you'd like to call out?
I think slight different take on your question, but a business that I've kind of been crushing on quite a lot lately it's a business called MedSalve Social Enterprise out of Christchurch. I don't know them personally, but I've been following their journey. They happen to be a B Corp as well. I guess maybe that was how I first connected with them. So they remanufacture single-use items from hospitals. So there's obviously so much waste in hospitals from all the single-use medical equipment and protective gear. That's one side of it, so taking all that waste out of the system. The other side of it is they employ many staff who otherwise would have barriers to employment. So there are people with intellectual disabilities, for example, to the extent that they've even created machines that, for example, only have 1 or 2 buttons so that those folks can 100%, use those tools safely and effectively. So I just thought, gosh, that's so beautiful in like an environmental and social perspective. It's like they're very cool.
Yeah, oh, that's a great example. And as you say, hospitals create so much waste. So yeah, that's a lovely example. You've given us a few tips already, but if there was a sort of one piece of advice for a business listening to this, what would that be?
Yeah, I think perhaps it's this, like if you have an inkling of something in your head that you're most passionate about in the sustainability sphere, go for it. Go ahead and do, put, I guess, maybe the first 3 steps in mind and go, right, I'm going to do step 1 by next week. If you're unsure of kind of where to start, I found great inspiration by looking at the UN Sustainable Development Goals website, the SDGs, and it very clearly lays out the 17 goals with a description of each. And that, if you're not quite sure where to start, just perusing those 17 goals and picking one from there could be a great way to get motivated and get started, and not picking off anything too big. Start small and have a win, and then it will feel great and keep going after that.
Yeah, awesome. Great advice. And I loved earlier when you were saying about, making sure things resonate with people and bring them on that journey. That's also, really important. So, yeah. Oh, well, thank you for that. It's been wonderful talking to you today. Thank you for the tips and keep up the awesome work. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.